Is this the best palette for Pride? Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I'm so excited to be bringing you this amazing palette of Beauty Me Cosmetics with WILMA FINGERDOO. So excited. Just look at this color story. So freaking pretty. First things first, the palette itself does retail for $36.75 USD. The pigments as well are, I believe, $7 USD, so really not bad. I did decide to change up how I did the swatches this time. This shade here is really close to my skin tone, that's why you probably can't see it very well, but they are swatching so freaking stunning. One thing I will really say that I do really appreciate and enjoy about this palette is that it does have at least my preferred formula for the shimmers, which is that super glimmery, sparkly, just nice pigmented shimmer. And then also this pigment, I forgot to do a little swatch, so we'll do a little swatch. So it does not have a sifter, so just be careful, but this is the shade. It is like, hello, I hope you can see that. It's just beautiful sparkliness. You could probably almost even use this as a highlighter. I did just get the shade number 1. It's like a lavendery shade, but they do have 3 other shades, so a total of 4. There is a bundle deal where you can purchase the palette with all 4 of the pigments, just the palette, just the pigments. And then there also is a wide variety of jewelry that did come out with this collection. I don't know if I could find mine. I did purchase a pair of the earrings. I just realized I forgot to pull it out. Oh, I'm so sad. If I can find a picture, I will pop it in. They did have these super cute rainbow earrings that I did pick up. I realized since then they've also added in some additional rainbow pride stuff that I just think is like so freaking cute that honestly with their next collection I might pick up. We shall see. And then I forgot to say I did my brows for Miss Wilma because I love their brows and I thought we have to pay homage to our queen. So let me know what you think. Okay, let me go ahead now. We can delve into our first look. So for this look, I really wanted to do something pride themed as this palette kind of is like a pride idea. I'm going to start off by doing just like the tape method. So I'm just lining up the tape with the bottom lash line. So I'm not doing this, as you see, completely pridey, but like kind of. So I think it still is fun. When I had watched Wilma's video talking about this palette, they did not want to do completely pride colors. Like there is pride flags mixed in here, but they didn't want to do like completely standard pride. But I just wanted to see like if we were able to still create something pride-esque. I'm just going to start off with our black, which is called Seriously. And I'm just going to be applying this to kind of my outer corner. So I'll just be dragging it along the tape. So what I'm doing is kind of where my crease naturally is, I'm going to drag it, just kind of creating an invisible line to where that would connect. And then interestingly enough, when I was watching Wilma's video, they were talking about how this like isn't the most pigmented black, but I mean, to be honest, I think it's still a really good black. They were mentioning that it is more meant to be blendable with the other shades, which I do like, so that you're able to kind of add some depth to every shade. But it is the same shade that I did use for my brows, and I did blend it with the purple, and it blended like so good. Next, I'm just going to be using mainly this one flat brush to do the rest of the mattes. I recently had got a comment where somebody had asked some like pride looks I've been doing lately if I just use like a bunch of brushes, and most of the time I don't. I find it just like easier just to deal with one and kind of wipe it off. So I'm going to go in with I Love It Parade. It's like a really bright, vibrant purple. And I'm just going to, as I'm talking, apply it basically just following the shapes of kind of the perimeters of it, like tapping and slightly blending it. I love that this palette has quite a lot of really bright shades. I don't know if it's necessarily meant to be neon, but it feels pretty neon, very vibrant. And hopefully you're able to see it. This is blending very easy. If ever you do have an issue and you feel like it's not going to, just wiping off your brush and you can kind of create a custom shade by dipping between the 2 shades. And you're able to help that to soften a lot better. It's a really great trick, especially like for a look like this, where because I am trying to build a pride look, but we don't have all the colors, I'm kind of mixing colors that might not necessarily normally go together, but like we're able to make it work, which is nice. I'm gonna go ahead and take the Ships at Sea, same brush, just wiped off, and I'm gonna do the exact same everything. I'm really happy that I did pick this palette up. It just has a lot of vibrancy. I'm so curious. As of right now, the brand is coming out with another palette. I think it's called Medusa palette, which I love. Like the idea of Medusa. I think it's such an interesting idea, and I'm just going to be really curious to see what the color story is. So I'm going to do that same thing last time out, where I'm going to dip in between the two shades just to get a custom color, so that we are able to transition this purple to this more kind of aqua shade. And then lastly, for kind of this portion, we're going to go ahead and take the shade Side Eye, which is that green. Such a super limey, gorgeous green. So I'm going to be just tapping that on the edges. This color is resting pretty much where my pupil is. And same thing, so I'm just going to go to the tape to have that there. What's really cool with this palette is even make it look like this, you could really just, I wouldn't say stop, but just stick with the yellow or the green and bring it more in, and then go in with some of the shimmers. Like, I think you're able to create some really fun looks really easily with this palette. And so far, I have not like swatched anything or whatever, but the shimmers in this are all honestly really nice. They're all that really sparkly kind of formula that I like. I do the same thing, so dipping between our teal shade and the green shade to create that custom shade to blend. And you can of course come back if you feel like you need to, just to make the colors brighter. Going in with the shade Kiki, which is like a bright yellow. I'm mainly going to focus this shade just predominantly on the lid and into the crease a little bit. So I'm just going to stamp it along this green, but I'm going to stop right here. I will, when I blend everything out, take a bit more of the yellow, but for right now, just to get our colors laid down. If you have been watching my prior series, you'll notice this is a very similar way to how I have been doing my eyeshadow or like the looks. I'm going to go with DQA, it's like an orange. I feel like this is just a really easy placement for like a colorful look like this, a pride look. And the orange and the yellow are, I'm sure, going to blend really well, just like the green and the yellow, because they are those colors that are like right next to each other on the color wheel. Okay, I'm going to lastly go in with Kitty, which is the pink. I've been loving to do a pink inner corner. Applying that around the orange. I will take this pink more in here too. I'm blanking. If I know the name, I will put them in. They call this the swoop, just to help that to blend in. And you can see this might be a bit much, but it's okay. We're gonna blend, we'll be fine. So I'm gonna take a big fluffy brush, this is a Glamlight one, go in with Kitty, that bright yellow, and I'm just gonna go along and just start softening everything out. Now, we might have to go back in with some of the colors just to re-intensify if we want. I mean, we're gonna be using this to blend out this front bit. There's really not much yellow left on the brush. I just like to have a little bit of color just to have everything kind of seamless. I think we look okay in the front here, but if you're worried that this is too like harsh line, I usually go over with a makeup sponge, or you can use like a foundation brush, sometimes even just your finger can really just help to soften that line out. Okay, so now we get to go in with some of the fun shimmer, so I'm just going to be using my finger to apply. I'm not using a glitter glue. I don't personally have an issue where I feel like I need to use a glitter glue, and so far these do seem really smooth, so I don't feel like you need one, but if you have like issues with creasing, absolutely, of course, you do you. So I'm going to go in with the shade Family. It's like this royal blue kind of shimmer, like hello. That picked up so well, and I'm just going to pop this on this outer corner area here. And I'm going to take it to about halfway. I feel kind of bad because I do feel like I'm covering up some of this gorgeous color on the lid. But as you see on this side, it still isn't a crease, so it's not like it's fully disappearing. Having a teeny bit of fallout, but that should be fine to wipe away, and that does happen. Normally, I would do my eyeshadow. I'll do like my foundation here, stops that I can wipe it off, but for like videos, I tend to just apply the whole thing, but whatever, I'm rambling. I'm gonna go in with the shade Wilma. Same thing with my finger. This is like a gorgeous, it's like a pink, but it has some like sheerness to it. So what I love is, I mean, maybe not quite, but I feel like it complements really well with this orange shade. It's just stunning. I'm like trying to think what vibes it gives me. Is it 70s? I don't know, but it's like that era, you know, when you see like the really bright, like neon colors. I need to do my research because I feel uneducated when it comes to certain time periods. I'm just going to take our brush that we've been using, the flat one, and go between that shimmer and that orange. I mean, just hello. I'm going to have to keep this in the back pocket. I don't for like another look, because can you imagine like the brown, one of the browns, the orange, the pink again, and the shimmer? That would be like such just a gorgeous, gorgeous look. Gorgeous look. Okay. I'm going to next go in with this really fun shade Makeup Party. I feel like on camera it's flipping orange. So when I see it personally, I feel like it looks really similar to Wilhelmina. So if you don't own this palette, you will notice it looks really similar to Wilhelmina. But I feel like when I swatch it, or it looks similar to my eye. When I swatch it though, I don't know if you can see that, I'm getting green, which is really interesting. I'm getting like this green shade. So I'm just going to take this, and I'm going to pop that between the two shades. And these shimmers just blend in so easily together. It looks so pretty, right? I'm in love. Okay, I'm just gonna go apply swing liner, and we'll be right back. Alright, so here is today's look, and honestly, I really love this. I think this look turned out so pretty. I'm really excited to see what I'm able to create for our next look, so let's go ahead and roll on into that. So for this look, I do have us nice and zoomed in. I decided that I want to use kind of the more neutral bottom row here. I believe this is representative of the bear flag. And then I'm just going to be using up the remaining shimmers plus our little fun pigment. And I think this honestly turned out really well. So I'm just going to go ahead and start off with just an angled brush. And I'm going to dip into our black shade called Seriously. This is pretty similar to how I normally do my shadows. So I'm going to start underneath the lash line. I'm going to take it just to my colored part of the eye and then kind of go back. Basically the shape we've created under the eye, I'm going to follow this, creating a wing shape. And then I'm just going to do it a little bit. If you struggle with this part of creating the wing shape, what we're going to go ahead and do is switch over to another. It's like a longer kind of pencil brush, the same shade. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place right where that colored part of our eye is. And then what I'm going to do is right where our crease kind of starts to where when my eye is open and you can still see the color, that is where I'm going to match this up to this outer edge. So if you have trouble deciding where you want to match this up, I would suggest kind of doing this first, taking your time, and you can always go ahead and like fix your shape. I'm just going to go ahead, fill all this in with the black. With a slightly fluffier brush, I'm going to go ahead and dip into our shade, which is called Sweet Marie. And I'm just going to start running this throughout my crease. So doing the normal of keeping my eye open, staring as straight ahead as I can to start creating my shape. And these two colors do blend really easy together. I had mentioned, I know early, but just in case, that is something that Wilma really wanted with this black, to be able to make sure that it is nice and blendable, so you are able to add depth to all of your looks, which, as a person who loves depth, I greatly appreciate. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing underneath the eye, just continuing our shape. Now we're going to go and jump with a big old fluffy brush, and we're going to take this shade, which is called Tan Line. I love this shade. It's a really nice one, just to pull throughout the crease if you want something really simple. I think it's a great transition shade. I'm just going to use ours to go around everything just to make sure it's nice and softened. And then for a little bit of brightness, I am going to go ahead and take the white, which is the shade Party. So I'm going to take it into the inner part of the eye. Originally, I did take some under my brow bone. Then I ended up putting a shimmer here. So, of course, if you don't want the strong shimmer like I did, feel free to just do the white matte. But hopefully you can see, I feel like this just went super well and very easy. And I really do appreciate that there is this kind of neutral row for people out there who want to experiment with bright colors, but are a little more timid or scared with them. This really just gives you this, I feel like, nice base row, and then you can kind of add in your pops of colors. So I do think this is a really good one for that. Okay. I'm going to go ahead, move on to our shimmers. So first up, I'm just going to be taking the shade Celebration. This is a really pretty, I would say slightly neutral-esque, but very sparkly bronzy gold shade. Tapping with my finger. And then as again probably mentioned before, I'm not using any glitter glue, but you do you. I do want to say that these you pick up, I feel pretty dang well with the brush. I'm going to go ahead and take a nice flat brush. I'm going to go ahead and dip in with the shade Moi. And I'm just going to apply that directly next to it. Like, I feel like when I was nervous, because I did want to make sure I used all the shades in this palette, I was nervous that this was not going to mix in really well. But seriously, I hope you can see that. This mixes so well together. And then lastly, I'm going to go ahead and take this shade called Queen/Hello, or Queen Hello, picking it up with the same brush. Now, I will say this shade is not going to pick up super strong. You can see it's picking up, but it's not going to pick up the strongest as a finger, what I can kind of show you. This shade, though, is a bit more, I feel like the base is a bit more sheer, which is, for one, why I really love it for the inner part of the eye, but two, why it's not going to be full pigment, if that makes sense. It's very shiny and has a gorgeous shine, which I absolutely love, but it's just not going to be that full-on pigment. Okay, so for the pigment, I do have the shade number 1. I love this shade so far that I played with. It's so pretty, so I hope you can see it. It kind of looks like lavender. So I'm going to take, just with my finger, you can again use a brush. I will use a brush in the center, and I love this shade really transforms. Now, do you need all these shades? No, it's just because I have all of them and I wanted to show you, but I will definitely be using them in the future, like independently. I'm going to go and take our flat brush we used earlier, dip in with our pigment, and I'm just going to take that underneath the brow bone in this shade. It's just, it's so pretty. It's just like liquid magic. I just want to put it on everywhere. Alright, this is pretty much our look. I'm going to apply mascara and we'll be right back. And here is the finished result, and honestly, I think this is so pretty. I really love all the shimmers. I cannot wait to play more with these. I'm loving just everything about this look. I'm loving my lighter brows. I think it's so much fun. Alright, final thoughts. If you cannot tell, I absolutely love this palette. I love the pigment. I am so happy that I did decide to pick this up. I mean, just look at the artwork again. It's so gorgeous. Beautyman Cosmetics and WILMA FINGERDOO, you both did it out of the park. I can't even think of the word. This is definitely part of probably one of my top favorite palettes. Currently, I just love this brightness, and I love the variety of shades in here. It's so gorgeous, and this shimmer, or this like pigment on top, even better. I absolutely love it. I highly recommend. If you are thinking of picking this palette up, I do have a code. It is affiliated. You can use my code RAINBOW, which will save you, I think it's 10 or 15%. I completely blanked, but of course, if you don't want to use mine, I'm guessing Wilma also has a code, so use Wilma's, or anybody. It's just a great way to save you some extra money, so do it if you want to get this palette. Like I said, I highly recommend it. And that is going to be the end of today's video. Definitely let me know down below what you do think. Are you going to be picking up this palette? Have you tried anything from Beautyman Cosmetics? I would love to know. I hope you're having a great rest of your day, and I will see you on my next one. Okay, bye!